Hi, everybody. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we are ready to go. Hold on one more second and I'll get started on my side. All right, hold on. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that delay. As we all have learned in the last 8 months, technology is fantastic, especially when you need it the most, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and get started now. And sorry, we'll end up running a little bit later than I thought. Got about a half an hour of material that I'd love to share with you. So anyway, again, welcome to SciDome at Home. My name is Suki and I am with the Works in Newark, Ohio. I'm sure most of you are watching from Newark. A couple of quick things. First off, I highly recommend that you turn the brightness up on your screen. A lot of times we have the brightness turned down because we're looking at screens all day, every day. But for this show, you might want to have your brightness turned up. It'll help you see the stars and the images a little bit better. The other thing is, feel free to use the question and answer section. I will probably take most of the questions at the end, but feel free to use that feature. And if they're in your way, of course, you can minimize them or close them completely. But let's go ahead and get started because we have a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. I'm so excited. Let me first tell you the image that you're looking at. If this is your first time watching SciDome at Home with me, I want to remind you what you're looking at. So this is a fisheye view. So the horizon you can see is obviously tilted here. South is in the middle, southeast, and this is east. So you're looking all the way from the east to the southeast, south, southwest, and west. You're also looking all the way from the horizon, all the way up to the top of the sky, basically. Like if you were to stand outside and crane your neck up as high as you could, that's how high up you're looking in this image. So keep that kind of fisheye view in mind as I go through the things in the show tonight, all right? All right, so I have this set for Newark, Ohio. It is today's date, and I have this at about 4 o'clock at night because I wanted the sun to be up. As I'm sure you've noticed, the days are really short right now, and that will be one of the things that we talk about. But first, let me run time forward for us a little bit and make it dark. And it's already, the sun is starting to set by about 4:30 at night. And I'll let the sun go down completely. But stop it right here at about 6 o'clock. Hold on, let me turn off. Those satellites can be distracting. If you saw little flashes go by, those are satellites that can be turned on in the dome. All right, so I mentioned that there were a couple of really neat things going on right now. Tonight, I will talk about the winter solstice, which is coming up in just a few days. but I also want to talk about the planets because we have something going on that has not been seen for over 800 years. And I think it'll be about another 50 before we see it again. So first things first, let's talk about the planets that we can see in the night sky. So of course, Earth is one of 8 major planets in our solar system. We can see 5 of those planets from Earth without any kind of telescope. And those planets are Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. Right now, we can see 4 of those planets. Mercury is coming up with the sun, so we can't see Mercury in our sky right now, but that's okay. It's up frequently, just not right at this minute. But the real showstopper right now is Jupiter and Saturn. So over the next few nights, I want you to look south. You can see there's a little tiny crescent moon. Unfortunately, of course, we can't see anything tonight. It is way too cloudy, but hopefully over the next couple nights, it'll clear up and you'll be able to see this. Jupiter and Saturn are right here, and they are coming together. Right now on the 17th, they're still a little bit apart. Saturn is just to the left of Jupiter. Jupiter is very bright in our night sky. You might think it's a star. It's so very bright. Of course, it's our largest planet. So it is very bright, almost, in fact, I think it's brighter than Venus in our night sky. And Saturn and Jupiter have been up all year long. But on the 21st, they're actually going to converge together. So keep your eye on this spot right here in the sky, and you can see that Jupiter and Saturn are just separated a little bit. So this is the 17th. Here's the 18th. Here's the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. So Saturn and Jupiter are together in the night sky on December 21st. And again, this hasn't happened in 800 years from our night sky. So it's a really fantastic thing to see. And then I'll go ahead and jump forward. You can watch 22, December 23, December 24, you can see Saturn is starting to separate again from Jupiter and appear on the right-hand side of it. December 25, December 26. So Saturn will continue to move to the right of Jupiter. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. Jupiter is about 400 million miles away from Earth. And then Saturn is another 400 million miles away from Jupiter. So almost 800 million miles away from Earth. So these 2 planets are not at all close to each other. They just look like they're very close to each other in our sky right now. And I'll show you that image in just a minute. Let me get back to the 17th. Let me get back to today's date. So Jupiter and Saturn, I pointed out to you. Mars is also up all night long right now. Mars, which is much closer to us, when we're at our closest 40 million miles away, Mars looks red in the sky. So again, remember, this is at about 6 o'clock at night. Look south, southeast, and Mars is up, and it's up all night long. It'll move across the sky towards the west, and you'll be able to see Mars for several more months. And it really does look red. It's a red planet. It's covered in basically rust, but it will stay up for several more months. Just for fun, let me run time forward and I'll speed it up for us a little bit here so that we don't have to wait all night long, so that we can see when Venus comes up. And then we'll get into some images of why Jupiter and Mars, or Jupiter and Saturn, look the way they do in our sky. So this is at about midnight right now. You can see Mars is over in the southwest. Jupiter and Saturn set long. You only have about an hour after sunset to catch Jupiter and Saturn, by the way. And Venus is coming up early in the morning. You can watch Orion get ready to set. And then here comes Venus above the horizon at about 6 a.m. So right before the sun rises, you'll be able to see Venus if you look southeast. And Venus is incredibly bright. It is the surface, well, I should say the atmosphere of Venus is very reflective of the sun's light. And we are a little bit closer to Venus than we are to Mars, actually. We're a little under 40 million miles away from Venus. So both Mars and Venus shine fairly brightly in our night sky. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and show you a different image, because I want to talk about Saturn and Jupiter just a little bit more. So here's our solar system. I want you to imagine that you're looking down on our solar system. I'm going to zoom in on it just a smidge. That's Uranus and Neptune out there, but we cannot see them without a telescope, so I won't mention them too much right now. Also, keep in mind that this is not exactly to scale. I've got Jupiter and Saturn enlarged for us here. The sun is obviously in the middle. Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, then Mars, then Jupiter and Saturn. So I want you to think this is on December 21st. So when they'll be completely aligned in our sky, I want you to think about, here we are on Earth and we're looking at Jupiter and Saturn. So that's why they look like they're stacked on top of each other, even though Jupiter is 400 million miles away and Saturn is another 400 million past that. Also, Jupiter is orbiting around the sun. Jupiter's year is the equivalent of 11 Earth years, almost 12 actually Earth years. But Saturn's orbit around the sun takes almost 29 Earth years. So Jupiter is moving much faster around the sun. So that's why you can imagine after they align up in the sky, Jupiter is passing Saturn. So that's why Saturn's going to appear on the right-hand side of Jupiter in our sky as they separate. You can also see here with Mars, Earth here and Earth here and Mars here. You can see why Mars is in our night sky all night. And you can also see why Mercury is hidden by the sun at this moment, and Venus is coming up in the early morning hours. It's just a little snapshot of December 21st to give you an idea of how our solar system is all lined up right now. All right. Now I would like to shift gears, if you don't mind, and talk a little bit about the summer solstice. I said summer. What am I talking? Maybe that's wishful thinking. It's like a winter wonderland outside right now, right? So let's talk about winter solstice. So I'm going to show you a couple of different images that I think are pretty fascinating. All right, so here is our beautiful little planet Earth. Give you some perspective of what we're looking at. This red line is the equator. You've got the North Pole and the South Pole. Now remember, the Earth is tilted on its axis, about 23 degrees. So right now, let's pretend that our head is the sun. So if your head is the sunshine, you are looking directly at the equator of Earth right now. And that's because this is dated September 21st, which is the autumn equinox. March 21st, which is the spring equinox, looks the exact same. The sun is shining directly on the equator, and the northern hemisphere of Earth and the southern hemisphere of Earth are getting the exact same amount of sunlight. And our days are about 12 hours long. Now I'm going to run time forward. And just so you know, the Earth is not rotating in this image. Remember, Earth, of course, rotates. But right now, we're just focused on looking at the northern hemispheres and the southern hemispheres. So as I run time forward, and your head is the sun, this is what the sun sees if it had eyes. So looking at the northern hemisphere directly, shining directly on it, now shining directly on the southern hemisphere. Right in the middle. And I'll stop it right here. That's the moon, by the way, in that image. So I stopped it on the summer solstice. So you can see the sun is shining directly on the northern hemisphere. And that's why we have so much sunlight, so much more warmth, right? Run time forward again, and I'll stop it on the winter solstice this time. Now you can see this is the winter solstice. So of course it's summer in the southern hemisphere. If you lived in Australia or South America, it's summer right now. But you can see here's North America up here, and that's why we're in wintertime. We're really tilted away from the sun. And I'll show that to you, what that looks like in our sky. I realize that the horizon has changed on this. This is an image from a professor from Eastern University. So this is June 21. Look at how high in the sky, as I run time forward, how high up the sun is. And remember, we have days are about 15 hours long in Newark, Ohio, at about 40 degrees. Now let's look at the spring and fall equinox. Here our days are about 12 hours long. Equinox, equal, right? And if you live at the equator, your days are almost always 12 hours long. Now let's look at December 21st, the winter solstice, and look at how low in the sky the sun is. And the sun is only up from about 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., right? So I think this is a really fantastic way to think about how high the sun is in the summer where it's at in spring and fall compared to our really low in the sky winter solstice. I'll clear out of that. And then I have one more image. If we can be super science geeky before I promise you that we'll do just a little bit of night sky at the end too, okay? Sound good? But one more geeky image to show you, and let me get it lined up. It doesn't always want to line up. All right, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here before I run time forward, I have the sun in the middle and the earth over here. This is not to scale, right? I have the earth, the image of the earth made much bigger. I also want you to keep in mind that remember how I said the earth tilted on its axis? So it's always tilted in the same direction. So the pole is going through the earth like this, okay? I'm going to run time forward, and I want you to just watch the earth orbit the sun. There's some comets in here. And remember, that pole is tilted away there. The pole is always going through, tilted this way. And I'll stop over here on the winter. So again, the pole is tilted like this. So you can see that we're tilted away from the sun right now during the winter solstice. I'll run time forward again. Spring equinox. And then stop here for the summer solstice, because again, the axis is tilted towards the sun now. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Unfortunately, in this image, the pole lines aren't showing up, so that's why I have to tell them to you. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Again, fall and winter. All right. Thanks for letting me science geek there for just a second. And we have a little bit of time left. Let's take a minute to look at some of the winter constellations, which I have to admit are my very, very favorite constellations. And it just seems like, for one thing, there's so much nighttime, and I know they're always very cold, but those clear winter nights, the stars just seem to shine so incredibly brightly. It's such a treat. So the image that you're looking at right here is dated December 21st at about midnight. And so my very, very favorite constellation that's up right now is Orion, the hunter. Oh, let me turn on the illustrations. The illustrations are fun, especially for anybody young at home. So there's Orion, the hunter. And I'm going to turn this off really quick so I can show you how to look for him. Orion is by far the easiest constellation to find in the winter sky. These three stars right here are Orion's belt. And I promise you that in your night sky, in your backyard, when you look south, Orion just seems like such a huge constellation. His belt, his sword, his feet, and his shoulders are very bright. By the way, just for fun, this star that shines kind of red, that is Betelgeuse. So do not say that 3 times. And if anybody's a Harry Potter fan, this is Bellatrix. So using Orion, the hunter, you can use his belt and he points you at other winter constellations. So use his belt and he points you up to this V in the sky. It's easy to find this red star, Aldebaran. And that red star is the eye of the bull. So that is Taurus the bull. And Aldebaran, that red star, really glows in the night. And you can easily find that V in the night sky using Orion's belt to point the way. Oh, sorry about that. We're keeping our fingers crossed that there's not more technical difficulties coming up. In the shoulder of Taurus is Pleiades. This little tiny cluster of stars is the Pleiades. I find that sometimes the Pleiades is actually easiest to see with your peripheral vision. So look at Taurus's V, look at Taurus's face, and notice this little misty cluster of stars off to the right, to the west of Taurus. And that's the Pleiades, or the seven sisters. Now, again, back to Orion, use his belt, and it points you down to the brightest star in our night sky, and that is Sirius. So the star Sirius is quite bright, and it is the nose of Canis Major. So I will admit that Canis Major, the constellation, isn't a whole lot to look at, but that star Sirius is very bright. So let me turn on Taurus and Orion and Canis Major. And you can't really see it, but just for fun, know that there's Lepus, the bunny rabbit that Canis Major is chasing through the winter sky. You can also use Orion to find Gemini. Gemini is up now, the twin stars. So use Orion's front foot and back shoulder. Remember Betelgeuse? Use Rigel and Betelgeuse, and they point you towards the twin stars, or Gemini. And they're very fun. Those are all really easy constellations to find in the night sky. And they are up early at 8, 9 p.m. You can see Taurus and Orion, and at least Sirius is starting to come up by then. So you'll be able to see him too. All right, just for fun, let's turn on all the constellations. That are in our winter sky right now. Now, we can't see all of these constellations. We just have so much light pollution, and especially in central Ohio, or if you live in any kind of, actually anywhere on the east, really. But Orion and Taurus are easy to spot. And I'm going to grab the horizon and scoot it around. I find that can be a little easier. Oh, sorry, my phone's ringing. Oh, Leo the lion is starting to come up now. This backwards question mark is another easy one to spot, coming up in the east at about midnight. We'll look north for just a minute here. Ursa Major, you can see that the rump and tail of Ursa Major are the Big Dipper, which probably everybody is familiar with the Big Dipper. use these two stars, the Big Dipper, and they point you to Polaris, or the North Star. The North Star is the tip of the tail of Ursa Minor, or the Little Dipper. I know in my backyard, I can't see Ursa Minor. I can find the North Star, but I can't see the rest of Ursa Minor. But another constellation that's easy to spot in the north sky, again, use the Big Dipper, points you to Polaris, and then go not exactly straight through, but you can see there's this sort of squished M, Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is an easy one to spot in the sky. And a lot of times you can see the square of Pegasus too. So when you're looking north, northwest, you can sometimes catch that square. All right, well, hopefully that covered some interesting things for you. Again, promise me, everybody has to promise me that you will go outside over the next few days on the next clear night right after sunset. In fact, it doesn't even have to be completely dark. Look south, southwest, and you'll be able to spot Jupiter. It's very bright. And look and see if you can see Saturn, which is quite a bit dimmer, right to the left of it until the 21st, and then it'll start to be on the right of it. So promise me that you'll look at that. It's the first time that we've seen it in over 800 years, and we won't be able to see it for a while again. And also keep an eye out for Mars. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them in the question and answer section or the chat section. I do want to thank everybody for coming, and I hope that you were able to, I'm sorry that we had some technical issues. That's no fun. We try to have a SciDome at home every month. It's always the third Thursday of the month. So check our website for that. We also have History at Home every month, and that is a lot of fun as well. And keep an eye on our website. Things are always changing. So keep an eye on our website. We have a lot of things that are available for free to the public. Somebody just wrote in, I'm looking forward to seeing the night sky again too. I love our winter wonderland that we're in right now, but can't wait to see some stars. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for your patience. I'm so sorry that my computer crashed right as I was starting. I hope everybody has happy and safe and healthy holidays. And hopefully I'll see you in a month at the next SciDome at Home. Thanks again.